But what we've been doing since the beginning is pretty much like doing preamble, laying foundation, talking about principles that will direct you into understanding the practical way to set smart goals. Okay. Starting with you understanding yourself, self awareness, so you getting to the point where you understand what your purpose is, what your value system is, your core beliefs, and of course, coming to terms with your growth mindset, your orientation. Okay. And now putting all that together is part of what should enable you to launch into creating reasonable objectives for your life. Okay. Within a set time, which is this 12 month, at least on a short term. Then you can look at 5 years on a medium term and then look at the long term goal. I mean, long term stretch. So, but let's see how to embrace this meaningfully and relatively. So, we'll look at what exactly, why it is important for us to set goals. It's very simple. And that's why I'm not going to talk too much about all these things because there are things we are aware and we know. But just to underscore and put in a proper context this conversation, you simply need to set smart goals or set goals for your life, singularly because you need to be focused. Okay, is because of focus and because you need to know what kind of results you want. So those are the two things, like they are like inseparable entities. Focus and of course your results. Okay, your focus and your results. Very, very important. And when you look at the context of understanding purpose is singularly because you need to be focused in the midst of so many things. You could walk in several dimensions or walk in different directions, but there's a particular way, there's a particular direction, there's a particular place that is meant for you. That's the meaning of purpose. There are particular set of things that is only meant for you to do in order for you to be able to get certain kind of result or outcome in life. That is it. So it's the same thing that your goals, project for you. So you need to know that and have it at the back of your mind. Um, there is just one simple tool which I'm going to explain to you. First of all, I'm going to play two videos. One is about 3 minutes. The other one is about, I think, 6 minutes or 5 minutes. So for the first 10 minutes thereabouts, the next voice I'm going to be hearing is going to be from the video. I want to listen attentively so that I will not do a repeat of what I want to talk about. Some of them has been explained in this video. That is why I feel the video will do justice and for me to spend more than 10 minutes to explain it to you. So you will hear and see everything you need to know about the meaning of SMART goal. SMART is an acronym, SMART. Okay. And the second video shows you taking it a step further after a series of research, transiting from being smart in your goal setting to becoming smarter in your goal setting. So you're going to see smart goals and then you're going to see smarter goals. Okay. So let's get started.
Regardless if it is professional or personal, we all struggle sometimes to achieve our goals. Many times our struggle is not because of a lack of effort, but rather how our goals have been structured. Anytime you set a goal or if you find yourself struggling while working towards a goal, keep in mind the word SMART. SMART is an acronym that can be used to help evaluate and add structure to your goals. SMART stands for specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time-bound. SMART begins with asking yourself the degree to which a goal is specific. This is arguably the most important part of establishing or evaluating a goal. The less specific a goal, the more difficult it is to determine how long the goal should take to complete or how to measure success. Consider the difference between a goal to get healthy versus the goal to lose weight versus the goal to lose 10 pounds. The goal to get healthy is much less specific than a goal to lose 10 pounds. The next question to ask: how is the goal measured? What determines success? Some goals may be best measured by a simple yes or no, such as the goal of climbing to the top of a mountain, while other goals are better measured by using metrics such as the goal to lose 10 pounds. The key to measurement is making sure that in whatever way the goal is measured, it accurately reflects success. For instance, if you do not have access to a scale, then measuring weight loss will be difficult and less accurate. An alternative measure may be to track how many inches you have lost around the waist. But to what extent does this accurately reflect the goal? Without access to a reliable way of measuring weight, we may want to consider buying a scale or restructuring our goal. Actionable is not asking yes or no, but how will the goal be achieved? What is our action plan? Do we have the resources and capabilities required to achieve success? If not, what are we lacking? Well-designed goals provide clarity of action. If the actions required to achieve a goal are unclear, or there are a large number of actions that need to be taken, we should consider breaking down the main goal into manageable, actionable sub-goals. In isolation, any single goal is relevant, but in life we most often are in the process of pursuing multiple goals. A common issue we face is having too many goals at the same time or pursuing the wrong goals. With this in mind, we need a mechanism to help us monitor our goals to make sure we are pursuing our most relevant goals at any given moment in time. One technique is to place goals in a matrix that looks at effort required versus perceived value of achieving the goal. Not always, but most of the time we will want to focus our energy on low-effort, high-value goals. Another technique is to use the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. Ask, which are the 20% of goals that will provide me with 80% of my return? The last thing we want to make sure is that goals are time-bound. By including a specific date by which a goal should be accomplished, it helps provide incentive and allows us to monitor progress. Consider the difference between the goal to lose 10 pounds and the goal to lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks. Simply by including an element of time, we can now calculate how much we should be losing each week, and if after 5 weeks we have only lost 1 pound, we can revisit our action plan. Be wary of any goal that is open-ended, such as the common goal to learn a foreign language. Last, it is important to reinforce that goal setting is not an event. It is an ongoing process of action, evaluation, and revision. It is not about lowering goals or standards to ensure success. It is about recognizing goals are dynamic because life is dynamic. We do not live in a static world. Life happens. A goal that is relevant today may be irrelevant tomorrow. When using SMART, stay flexible and motivated by setting aside time to reevaluate your goals on a regular basis.
Okay, so I had to pause it here so that you can see what Heraclitus says. He's one of the Greek philosophers, or those of us that did philosophy. I'm sure you must have heard about Heraclitus. But let's just leave his perspective on change and life. Let's go to just do a recap on what this 3-minute video has said to us. So who can tell us what SMART acronym stand for? SMART. We're just doing a recap now. What does S stand for?
Specific.
Specific. Okay.
Correct. M?
Measuring. Measuring.
Utman, don't worry, just unmute. I mean,
Measurable.
Okay.
so that we can keep the time. Let it be a chorus answer. Okay, I can see your hand up, but just unmute and do a chorus answer.
Okay.
Okay, what about A?
Actionable.
Actionable.
Correct. What about R?
Relevant.
Relevant.
Relevant. Okay. What about T?
Time bound.
Time-bound.
Okay, so let me just emphasize relevant. I pulled this out for a reason. Another word or another way to look at relevance is realistic. And you see the way he broke down the analysis of determining something that is relevant, because that seems to be where you would do some kind of intuitive calculation, okay? Because it depends on the particular item of goal you are dealing with from your grand dream. Okay, maybe this year you want to dream to do XYZ, and then from there you stream it down, and your dream basically is your scope. Now you break your scope down into relatable, smaller chunks of work activities, and that's where your goals comes in. So depending on the goal, you have different ways by which you can determine the relevance of your goal. Okay. Either you put it against the time and value that I talked about, or sometimes, effort and value that I talked about. Sometimes you want to also look at it against time. Sometimes one will say, oh, age is catching up on me, so there are certain things I need to do, that kind of a thing. So that means that time is going to be more important. Sometimes it might be resources. Maybe you just have this projection that there's some level of investment you need to do, and you know that that money or the opportunity for this kind of pool of resources may never come again, or it comes once in a lifetime opportunity. So you want to use that to also determine how relevant some of your priorities in selecting the goals will be. So I just needed to mention this so that you can look at it either from the perspective of relevance or from the perspective of realism. Okay, so let's look at the second video, then I'll come back and then we'll allow you to do your 2 minutes of each. Okay.
Regardless if it is professional or personal, we all struggle sometimes to achieve our goals. Many times our struggle is not because of a lack of effort, but rather how our goals have been structured.
When it comes to chasing our dreams, the only way I know to track our progress is to create milestones. Milestones show us what we are accomplishing and allow us to see how we accomplish even more. If you have stopped to read any of the statistics or articles on goal setting before, you will have read two things. 1. People without goals are not as successful as they hope to be. 2. People who don't write down goals are less likely to accomplish them. What I have found over the last 10 years of dream chasing is how important goals are in the grand picture of seeing your dreams come true. Goals give us momentum to push through adversity we experience while chasing our dreams. This year, there was a huge push not to set goals. People were sharing about how terrible they felt last year when they failed to meet their goals, or how they never really follow through with achieving them. So, should we even set goals to try to see our dreams come true? Yes! The problem for so many people is that they haven't created goals which will help them succeed, and their inability to follow through because of fear or poor goal creation holds them back. This was me about 10 years ago. I would set goals at the beginning of the year and then never go back and look at them. I would have these really vague, general ideas of things I wanted to accomplish, but never create action steps or any plans to achieve anything. This is why goals fail. You have probably heard of the SMART goal system. This is a great system. In fact, when I finally got tired of never accomplishing my goals, I learnt about it and started to see some of my goals achieved. And then I learnt about the ER in goal setting. Let's start putting some goals together using the SMARTer system. Specific. Sounds pretty simple, right? Just write something down that is specific. The question is, how specific do I need to be? The answer? The more specific you are, the easier it will be to quantify your results along the way. For example, if you want to lose weight, to be more specific, how much weight do you want to lose? Better yet, what weight would you like to be at the end of pursuing your goal? A specific goal says this: I will weigh 200 pounds. We want to quantify our goals. To make a goal measurable, we need to be able to see progress over time. Say your goal is to write a novel. How do we make it measurable? You will need to make it very specific and measurable by going into more detail which you can track. A specific goal for writing a novel is, I will complete writing a 50,000 word novel. Every goal should be actionable in terms of getting somewhere. However, when writing goals, we are talking about writing it as an action. A goal is actionable when it is immediately clear what action needs to be taken to accomplish it. A simple way to make items actionable is to begin them with a verb. So, try this. I will read 24 books. The R in the equation is relevant or relatable. Is your goal relevant or relatable to your life? When you are setting goals, this is the pragmatic look at what you want to do. When you set a goal, you need to think about your current situation. Some people will tell you to make a 10 times goal. Create a goal that is nearly impossible to force you to stretch yourself. While I think this is good, it's not for the first timer or for someone struggling at their goals. You need to create goals you can accomplish at your stage in life. Are you a father of 3 small children who works 2 jobs? You may not be able to work out 3 hours a day if you want to reach 3% body fat. Try this. I will decrease my percentage body fat by 10%. My start percent is X. Every goal needs a deadline. Why? So you are forced to take action in a certain time frame. Simply saying you will do something isn't good enough. You need to say when you will complete it. This way, you will need to map your path to success. Otherwise, you will always have the goal, but never have the urgency to accomplish it. Going back to the novel example, I will write a 50,000-word novel by December the 31st. Evaluate. This is where the rubber meets the road when it comes to your goals. We need to regularly evaluate our progress. When I ask people how often they looked at their goals, they say a few times over the year. This is why people fail at their goals. I evaluate my goals every month, and every week I read them. This helps me to remember what I am trying to do and make sure I take action every week. If there is anything you do differently about your goals, this needs to be it. Reward. Every goal and milestone needs a reward. We love getting something for a job well done. And when we are working towards our dreams, these little earned items help us to celebrate our milestones and be ready for the next step. Here is an example of a reward for paying off debt. Pay off debt by December the 31st. Buy one thing for $100 you would never buy for yourself. You may have really struggled with goals before, and if you're like me, you might have even failed all of the goals you set yourself in a year. But this doesn't have to be true of you anymore. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. C.S. Lewis. I love this quote because it reminds me how the goals we set for ourselves now, no matter our age or station in life, will help us change our story in the end. They will help us chase our dreams and see them come true.
How many of us got what was played on this video? How many of us follows through? How many of us got the concept of this smarter compared to the smart?
I do.
Sorry, I didn't get you. I need everybody to respond.
Yes, it
Did
resonated
you-
well.
Okay. So what would you say is the difference between the smart and the smarter goals?
The difference between smart and smarter goal. In smarter goal, you have to evaluate, like it's enable us to evaluate our goals to checkmate and see how we have been doing as far as the goal we set, and then also rewarding the achievement of the goal at the end of everything. You're trying to practice the act of rewarding yourself.
Excellent. Excellent. And that's the major thing. That's the major thing. I just looked for a simpler way to communicate that to you. And I feel using a video will really drive home the point quicker. I'm sure if I've been talking for the past 10 minutes, it's possible that some of you will not get it. The issue is not just enough for you to set goals. You've been doing that ever since you come to terms with your life to like, okay, maybe since you became an adult, okay, or since your grad school, you've always been setting goals. Oh, this year, some of us we even have what we call New Year resolution. So you set goals. I want to do X, Y, Z, which some of you will still share right now after what I'm saying. But it's not just enough for you to do all that. What happened afterwards? What happened by the time you begin to pursue those goals? What happens after you pursued and you achieve those goals? That's the need for the smarter concept, because it doesn't just end in you setting the goals and pursuing the goals. As you are pursuing the goal, there's a need for you to be evaluating. There's a need for you to be evaluating. There's a need for you to be doing monitoring and controlling. That's the meaning of evaluation. You are monitoring, you are controlling, you are refining, you are redefining. Because sometimes when you are setting goals at the initial stage, I mean, many things may outplay. You might not set the right goals. It might be something that you are just inspired to do, and now inspiration has changed, or you don't even have, like maybe you use Agile. You didn't have clear understanding of what those specific goals were supposed to be. And now it became clearer after a few months. If you bring in the aspect of evaluation, you will see the need for you to embrace change. So you see where C.S. Lewis makes sense. You see, because that's the only thing that's constant. So you see the need for you to re-evaluate and re-evaluate until you are properly done good refining, and then you achieve your success. Because at the end of the day, success and the result, the outcome of what your life will be this year is what matters. Nobody cares. At the end of the day, by the time everybody is seeing you on 31st of December or at the end of December, they want to hear the kind of testimony you're going to share. They want to know exactly what you've achieved. Okay? And that's what matters. So let me give some of us opportunity before we go into what I'm going to share with you finally, and then I'll hand over the tool to you. I'll just show you what the tool looks like. Then I'll let you go for the weekend to go and use the tool. Okay. So I would like, let me see, we have about 6 of you here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. I have about 6 of you here. So I'm going to allow each of you to share. I mean, maybe just one thing or two things, what exactly it is a goal that you set for yourself this year, and how did you go about it? How did you set your goal? Do you have any goal? If it's yes, I mean, never mind if you don't have any, right? This is the essence of the class, to help you know the need for you to set the goal and know how to set the goal. So, but if you have done your goal setting, let's know how you came about or how you went on doing your goal setting and what the goal is. Okay, so Dr. Shadi, you go first, and after you, Ademola, and after him, Bolanle. So I'll call the other 3 afterwards. So you have just 2 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll just say one. It's important for me to get licensed by summertime, and so I set that goal specifically just because I'm at a stage in my career where I'm kind of in limbo. Like I'm postgraduate, but I'm also not at a stage where I can be and practice independently. And so it's important for me to get licensed before the end of the year. And I'm giving myself, because they said you should study for the exam anywhere from 4 to 6 months. And so I'm giving myself about that range, 4 to 6 months to study and take the licensing exam by June, July. And I've done research as far as what the exam is, what are some programs that I could use to study for the exam, what are some books that I could buy for the study, and I've also just checked out on the website what I need in order to like turn into the licensing board to be eligible to actually set the date for the exam. And so I have that all kind of in my notes and writing. And so what I'm waiting for at this point is just to get up the money. The exam is about $600. So just get up the money to be able to register for the exam. And then I would next have to find the money to buy the materials. And I'm hoping to start everything before the 1st of March.
Okay, excellent. Did I hear you say the exam is about $200,000?
No, the exam is about $600.
Oh, okay. I thought you said 200,000.
God
Okay.
forbid.
No problem. Okay, thank you. So you have a goal and it's basically regarding your career. So interesting. So that's one aspect or one dimension of your life. And you've set a goal that you want to have your certification. Okay, good. So over to you, next person, Ademola.
Okay, thank you. So one of my main goals this year is to launch my startup program that I've started since last year, and the timeline is to ensure that regardless it is launched latest by September of this year. So part of it now is, of course, we've tried to break it into milestones on how we're going to go about it in terms of when to complete the development stage, when to complete the design phase first, and then when to complete to a development stage, and also when to have the MVP and start the iterations. But I have the target to ensure that we launch the software and the applications by September this year. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Over to you, Bolale.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So I'll just talk about one of my plans for this year is to get a certification exam done. So I I scheduled it for to be done within Q1 this year, so January, February, March. And so the first month, this January, I've already started making my research about it, spoken to people that I know that have written the exams before and have gotten the study pack. So I'm still trying to make my findings and then see how I can schedule my time, and also because it's a self-paced one, to study well before writing the exam before the end of March. So I've just started doing my research, and I'm starting to see how I can schedule work and then create time also to start reading the material and then write the exam by the end of Q1. I think that's one of the area.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. So the next person will be Favor, and after you, Glory, and then Utsman. So Favor.
Okay, good day to everyone. For me, I think this year I wouldn't say I've had set goals. I just have expectations from results. I'm expecting results from the goals I had from last year. So it fell into the beginning of the year, and most of the things that would set the pace for me the year depends on these results. It's not like I'm waiting on it, but I began this year differently. Somehow I felt disconnected. I don't know why or where it came from, or maybe because I had to wait for some of these expectations. But right now, I wouldn't say I have clear goals for the year, and I'm glad I'm attending this class as well, because it's helping me to learn and do better when I have to set these goals. So that's my answer.
Okay, that's good. So congratulations to you that you're in this session. Okay, next person.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Oh, Gloria has dropped. Which one? Over to you.
Sir, good evening, sir. So
Evening.
actually, to me, I didn't set any goals this year, but let me just say I have some pending goals I'm yet to accomplish. The major thing I'm trying to achieve this year is, look at me say, within 6 months frame or less or lesser than. Actually, can the issue I'm having is I can't really say the time specifically for that for the goal to be actualized. So I'm trying to work on my Revit skill. Actually, I know the basic and everything, but I need to lay my hand on working more on projects, working more on different designs, so I'll be able to navigate all the tools in Revit. So that's my major goal for this year. I think the year has actually within 4 to 6 months of this year.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. And I'm glad that you're able to share. Though some people dropped, I think about 2 or 3 people dropped. Hope they'll be able to connect to share with us what they planned as their goal this year. Like I mentioned, if you don't have any clear goals you've set for yourself this year, don't be, it's not unfortunate. Don't feel bad. Okay. The year is still, I mean, it's just 1 month off. You still have 11 months, more than 300 days for you to still get it right. It's never too late. And more so, you're fortunate to be in this session where you are hearing and listening to the importance of goal setting and how to go about it, right? And not just only do smart goals, do smarter goal setting. So here is the take, okay? If you really want to set a goal for your life, don't forget the purpose of you setting goal is for your personal development and professional development, for your personal growth and professional development. So it's not just because you want to do it as a cliche. Every year you must set a goal. No, it's targeted, it is focused. Like I mentioned to you, it is focused because you have a purpose and you are wondering in your mind, 2025, is what aspect of your purpose are you going to take a step further? Because it's like a journey. You've taken few steps before. So now you're on the shores and beginning a new year. How are you going to ensure that you take or you move closer to the accomplishment of your purpose? So that's what the goal setting is all about. So you can look at different dimensions of your life. Remember the first assignment I gave you on day one, having told you about 5 or 6 dimensions of life, some of which I just listed here again. I told you to go back and meditate on your life and think, ponder on other dimensions of your life. Maybe you have other dimensions, different from spiritual, academic, emotional, health, or wellness, and then social. So what other aspect of your life? For some, it might be political. Maybe you are into politics, right? That's an aspect of your life that you cannot trivialize. To some, I mean, I don't want to mention to you others. That's why I said go back, ponder your life, okay, and then think about the different dimensions of your life, okay, which you can easily plot into a graph or plot within a Venn diagram and see how they intersect. What kind of relationship do they have? Okay, what kind of union, exists between them? So once you have this clarity, the next thing is now for you to do prioritization in order for you to avoid cloudiness, to avoid clumsiness. You don't want to overload yourself. Okay. You have big picture, but you're not going to have the full design in a day or sometimes even within a year. So you want to prioritize. Remember everything we mentioned yesterday. There's a need for prioritization. So in goal setting, those are part of things that you need to have at the back of your mind, so that by the time you move into the dimension of now, selecting the goals that you need to put before yourself as you go into the planning room or planning table, then you know that prioritization is informing your selection. Let me give you a very good example. Before this year, in the last 5 years of my life, what has been my major priority? My major priority, of course, number one is spiritual. That's why you see I put spiritual. That was the first thing that came to my mind, right? The next thing that I've really preoccupied myself with has been academics. And there are two reasons for that. Number one, I looked at the phase at which I am in life, right? And number two, I looked at the abundance of opportunity. There's never going to be another better time for me to pursue these things other than now. So in terms of selection of goals, those were the priorities. Like, number one, I want to have these certifications. Number two, I need to have this registration. Number three, I need to have this program done, sorted. So I listed them, across those 5 years, and I was able to attain them. Then this year I set myself, you know what? I'm going to rest on this aspect. I'm going to rest on this aspect, and let me focus on this aspect. It's not that all the aspects or dimension of my life are not important. They are. But in terms of priority, I had to okay, this one is more important. So let me focus on it. And then look at what are the relatable goals I can create, I can pick, I can develop out of those areas. For instance, my business is a life to me, okay? Because you get to a stage in your life where, uh, as an entrepreneur, how to grow your business becomes a preoccupation. You've done a lot of investments. You've done a lot of, startup works. The time to start making profit, it's time to start eating big, hitting those high notes, you will have to determine as an entrepreneur. So I see myself that this year is one of those times that I need to set those goals for me to be able to hit high notes. So what are those things I need to do for me to be able to hit high notes, for me to be able to increase productivity, increase my revenue, do more? In fact, by the time I set all my goals across board, there were just 3 key areas of my life that I have those prioritized goals on. By the time I looked at all of them, I'm telling you how to easily, triangulate your goals without any complexity. By the time I looked at all of them, I have just one phrase that summarizes all the goals, so that anytime, I'm telling you this because I've done this work well to myself, and it become a song, it become my daily confession, my daily assignment, my daily task that I'm working towards. And that's the fact that I need to do more. Business, I need to do more for me to be able to increase in the direction that I want, right? Spiritually, I need to do more in order for me to be able to touch more of God and experience more. So that becomes my watchword, more. So what are those things I need to do in order for me to be able to create channels for more and all of that? So this is how to set the goals. And this is how to simplify the task that's associated with each of the goals. The same thing for you. It might be that, reducing your weight, like you saw in when Jack was explaining smarter, and then the first speaker also explaining smart. It seems they were talking about how specific you need to be in terms of your weight loss, exercise, and all of that. I mean, your health might be your own priority. That this year, I've been managing this situation in my health for too long. This year, it must end. So, what are those things you need to do that will put an end to it? Do you need to see your doctor more and have more time with your doctor? Do you need to prioritize having more medications and all of that? How much is going to cost you? And so it's going to make sense by the time you set that priority and you focus in the area where you need to put all the attention and all the resources too. Okay, so after you've done this, right, you need to now move into the point of defining the kind of actions you need to do. And that's where I will take you into planning. Okay, into planning. So I usually tell people that goal setting in project management is what we call project initiation. Okay, and it's just one phase out of 5 phases or stages that you have in project management. So you see that project management is a skill for life. It's something that you can apply to any aspect of your life in all ramifications of life. You can apply project management skill. So what we are talking about in terms of goal setting is just one phase. So what happens after you initiate a project? It doesn't mean automatically the project will just come to life and then you begin to see result and outcome. Absolutely not. You need to go through 4 other phases before you can now begin to, that's if you are using conventional method, the one they call waterfall, right? There are other methods you can use. You can use Agile, and Agile has different frameworks, right? But let's even use a easy, common, and more relatable method, which is waterfall, conventional method. You do this in a sequential manner. You have to first of all initiate by setting your goals. Then you have to now move into planning. After you have planned, don't forget it's a sequence. After you have planned, then you move into execution, where you begin to run, you begin to pursue. Okay, you begin to perform, carry out the task as opportunities avail. As you seize opportunity, you are getting jobs done. And then as you are doing that in execution phase, you now begin to do what we call monitoring and controlling. And that's where the issue of evaluation comes in. Because you don't do evaluation when you're planning. You don't do evaluation when you are, when you're planning. You do evaluation when you're executing, when you are getting the job done. Those things that you said you want to do, when you do it. Because if you don't do it, it's not done. And when you don't do it, you don't get the results. And when you are doing it, you want to be sure that you are doing it with specific outcome in mind, with the set thresholds, the baselines. Let me break this down further for you. For Dr. Folashade that said she wants to pursue a certification this year, you definitely know what are the requirements for you to be able to apply for the certification, sit for the exams, the curriculum of the exams, all these things, So then you've collected and gathered all these requirements, or you've gotten all this brief. So the next thing is you are now planning on how you want to execute this as a project, your goal as a project, because it's time bound, as you can see from the SMART goal. You have a time. Maybe you said you want to do it in 6 months. You want to do it in 4 months, in 3 months. Some of us, you want to do it Q1, 3 months. Some, you want to do it between now and September, which is like, that's September will now take us into the end of Q3, right? That's 9 months. So you want to look at the timeline and then you give yourself that opportunity to do proper planning. So the next thing you look at in planning is how do you want to execute? Because that's what planning is focused on. Planning focuses on telling you the how you want to do it, vis-a-vis the when it has to be done. For instance, if in a year, Dr. Folashade's exam is scheduled to happen twice in a year or once in a year, if you don't know when specifically, when you are planning, you won't know how to plan. Number one, when you need to pay and apply for the exam so that the time don't go off. And then when you need to go in to go and write the exam, except the exam that happen almost every day, because there are some exams that happen almost every day, like some of the Project Management Institute exams, 24/7 round the clock. Some of them are even prometric exams, protoct exam, online exam. So these are things that you get to sort out during planning of your set goals, because you need to plan on the execution of those goals. You don't just jump or wait. Some people are so lackadaisical that because they've set goals, they've said, oh, these are my resolutions, these are my goals, and they just go and sleep, they just rest, or they just live life casually like that, that it will just come, it will stick, results will stick to them. It doesn't happen like that. You know, time will have flown just the same way January had gone by, and it seems as if it keeps on taking. One has not achieved anything. Who used to say January is the longest month of the year, but this year is proving us to be wrong. When exactly did we say Happy New Year? And today is 25th already. So January is gone. You know, ideally, yesterday is when people are supposed to have been receiving their salary. Some companies will have paid salary yesterday. You know, I do pay my own salary this week. You know, those I don't pay, by this weekend, you'll be seeing reminders from them that, okay, alpha, 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 you know. So you see, that is how life will continue to happen. And that's the honest truth. And the same thing happens to your goal, because everything, including your goals, are all defined in time. They are all defined in time. So you rather want to also dedicate certain time, which usually I used to tell people, you don't need to rush. You have 12 months. As beautiful as it is, except if you know better, because I know now that you know all these things, by the time God help us, and if God tarries, right? If you are going to move into 2026, you now know how to plan your life and do your life better. So you don't necessarily have to wait into before you move into 2026, before you start doing your goal setting and planning, so that once you hit the ground in 2026, you start moving, right? So you get to have more time for execution, more time to monitor and control, and you have more time for you to be able to achieve more. That's what it means. And when you do that repeatedly for 2, 3 years, subsequently, you just see that the time that you always think that there's no time, you need more 24 hours or more than 24 hours. You see that 24 hours is even more than enough for you to accomplish more. That's the way it works. So don't beat yourself for it. Just use this year as ways by which you want to try how to do this life in a different way with a deeper knowledge and see how you get results. If it's just one thing, it is just that is why you don't overcloud or overburden yourself with too many things. If it's just one thing that you're going to aim at, that you're going to set as a goal, if you're able to achieve that one thing, that means that you score 100%. Or if you have 10 things and you end up doing 2 things, that's 20%. It's failure. Okay, so don't do too many goal setting, right? It's better you even do small or shorter number of goal setting, and as soon as you accomplish those ones, maybe they're in the short term, they are not long-term goals. You know, as long as you immediately you accomplish them, you can refine, you can review, and start all over again with new set of goals. That's the way you should work with the level of adaptation that I explained to you yesterday. Otherwise, you start running and you see that you're not even achieving anything, which usually baffles me when I see many people. And you will not be part of those people that will be complaining that this year is not delivering goods to them, because the year is laden with so many opportunities. And it's only those that have done proper planning and prepared very well that they will seize all the opportunities that is in there in the year. For those of you that are looking at equipping yourself academically or setting yourself with a career opportunity, please make sure you do your proper plan so that you don't miss those timelines, because this is where procrastination now comes in. You might think you have 12 months, ideally for your goal, because it's academics, you don't have 12 months. The academic environment has its own, or certification environment has its own window entirely. They don't work by 12 months. Some of them work by quarter. Some of them work by certain period as defined. Some of them work based on semester. In fact, in a year in Nigeria, you only have one cycle of admission. So meaning that if you miss that particular cycle, you have to wait for another 12 months to come. So God help you, you need to start planning like yesterday for you to be able to know how to key into that cycle. And when you move into other, the same thing with maybe in business, you're applying for grants, you are seeking for loan and all of that. They all have their cycles. You set the goal, yes, it's good, but how do you plan to seize the opportunity that will make you move into execution of those goals? Is the next thing you need to preoccupy yourself with. Seek for information. I mean, you need to move out of your comfort zone, as we said yesterday, and seek for help, seek for information, leverage on relationship for you to be able to get all the necessary victuals, all the necessary support that you need in order for you to be able to achieve your goals. Okay, so this is one of the things that I'm trying to do. And that is why I'm not having this session with individual of you. Imagine if the 12 of you, I think about 10 or 6 of you have been very consistent so far. Imagine, I mean, even as we have here now, we have about 6 of you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, drop to 5. Imagine if the 5 of you here are going to form a small community of goal setters. Maybe you can just call yourself goal setters. I'm just saying, because now you know you need support, and the immediate support is usually better than the unimaginable support, right? You have something in common, and that's the fact that you are learning together. So it's easier. You can easily be on the same page when it comes to pursuits. So how you can now look at it is how to leverage on each other's strength, each other's opportunities, right? So you need to look for that kind of community, that kind of environment. Those of you that wants to do a particular certification, imagine if I want to do a certification that has to do with project management, I know which community to go and seek for such support, right? Because it's already established community, and I will always get support from within that community. If I want to do a certification in medicine or in medical sciences, I know where to go, right? And I'll get the right support, or where to get the right information that will direct me in the right direction in pursuing my goal. So that's exactly what you need to do when you move into the planning phase for you to have your goals executable. Okay. And I'm going to wrap up with this because I promise I'm going to show you something. Let me stop this and share. Do you have any question before I come up with the template I want to share with you and explain the assignments? Any question? You should have questions because there are many things I want to say that I've not said. So your question should be able to bring those things out of my mind. So any question? Anybody? Or comments?
Yes, I have a question, sir.
Please go ahead. It's fine.
So it is about the time bound. Most of the
Okay.
times when someone sets a goal and a time bound is pegged on it, that I want to achieve this by so and so by the end of the year or the year before the year runs out. But due to some things that we can't even control, or some things that just come naturally. Sometimes it may be natural. It may be that we need to do some things before we get to the goal we set. How do one try to adjust oneself or try to meet up with the time bound set for the particular goal? Does that mean that one should readjust or push the time bound back more backward so as to achieve what the goal one set for that particular time bound?
Okay, if I understand what you're saying, you are saying by the time you are setting your goal, each of your goals, you have a particular time set for it. You call it timeline or schedule, right?
Yes,
Maybe you
sir.
want to do 3 months, 4 months, 2 months. What happened in a case where you have set the time and you don't achieve it within that time? Is that what you mean?
Yes, sir. Due to some circumstances, some reasons,
Okay.
uncontrollable reasons.
Okay. I mean, you have reasons why you don't meet up with that timeline. So what do you do? Right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah, very simple. So the ultimate timeline you have, because that's what we are putting before us. That's why when I started talking, I told you about time sets. Don't forget, yesterday we talked about time management. You have 3 major categories of timelines. 3. Your life as an individual, from the day you were born to the day you are going to die, across different phases of your life. and holistically, that long stretch, if you're going to stay 100 years, you're going to stay 80 years, it can be broadly categorized into 3 stages of implementation now. 3 stages of implementation. The first one is the one we called short term or term, whichever way. Never mind my English phonetics. TERM,
Yeah.
short term. Then you have the one they call medium term. Then you have the long term. So depending on what phase of life you are dealing with, in this case, we are dealing with phase 2025, this year, 1 year. So how do you break 1 year into short term, medium term, and long term? You have maybe per week, weekly or daily might be your short term. Then monthly or quarterly can be your medium term. In fact, I will use quarterly because then you have 4 midterms. Then the long term will now be the year itself. Let's say December. So the 12th month, the 11th. Some people's year ends in November. December, they don't do anything. Maybe they just go on vacation. Some is October. Whatever they do, once October hits, like the remaining 2 months of the year, is party, is resort, is relaxation, because they can't come and die. I mean, it depends on individual, right? Looking at how far you've come in life. Whereas some, they want to have the full 12 months as their full year, so that they'll be able to achieve more and do more within that set time. So it depends on you. So if you have set a particular goal for you to achieve in your short term, then the ER comes in, either on the short term, the medium term, I keep saying term, and then the long term. Your ER comes in. You don't wait until when you realize that you can't fulfill your plan on that goal within the set time before you evaluate it. And when you are doing your evaluation, that's the monitoring and the controlling, you will realize whether you have an issue with your goal setting. Maybe the time you were setting that goal, you weren't very, very realistic about what you were setting. For instance, a particular goal may have 10 actions to be performed, and you didn't have the capacity or the resources, or the time naturally will not even be enough for you to do 10 things, and yet you said you're going to do 10 things. So if at the end of the day you didn't do 10 things, that means your plan has actually failed. So you don't beat yourself for it. That's why I'm saying that even when you fail in execution, it's a learning curve. Okay, it's a learning curve. Next time you're going to do it better because now you understand. But what you don't want to do is to repeat a failure. You must learn from a failure, because I told you, failure does not mean that that is who you are. The fact that you pursue something and you didn't get it within the set time doesn't mean that you have failed. No. It simply means that you need to reset your goal and then now do it better in terms of being specific, in terms of determining how you want to measure it. Maybe you even failed at measuring. There are some goals that you need to use 2 dimensions. There are some you need to use 3 dimensions. There are some you even need to use 4 dimensions to measure, because the parameters, the elements within the subject requires you to consider 4 things, and you use 2 things. So you won't be able to capture all the results the way it's supposed to capture results. So it's not just only the issue of even time now. Because when you have set the time properly, what about the results you need to achieve within that set time? So there are quite a number of all these things are playing, but I don't want to bug you too much with the critical analysis. The important thing is for you to know how to set the goals, first of all, and then knowing how to plan for you to be able to execute the goals. And that's why I now talked about the project management process, because each of these your goals, they are project, they are not operation. They are project because they are time bound. It has a start time and it must have an end time, either in the short term or in the medium term or in the long term. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other question? I'm sharing my screen now for you to see. Any other question?
Yes, sir. I have a
Yeah, please,
question.
Trevor,
So,
please go ahead.
how do you source or reach out to relevant accountability groups or partners? For example, let's say you're trying to do something different from the relationship that you have, possibly, or maybe some the relationship you have, they are not in the same field or have an idea of what you want to do. So in cases like that, because you talked about having support systems from people, that it would help you keep up with your goal. So must it be people that have an idea of what you're supposed to do or what you want to do so that it can give relevant advice, or just people that will keep you accountable?
Okay, that's a very good question. So one of the things I help to do also, if you look at the handbook, I explained to you there that is an opportunity for you to interact and engage with um, other like minds as such. And that's part of the people that are here. You can imagine by the time you're engaging with Falashadi next time or Bolanle and all of that, it's like you're on the same page, regardless of what level you are in life. Maybe you are still a student in grad school, or you are a startup entrepreneur, like a Demola. I mean, whatever level you are in, there is a sense of commonality, and that's the level of your intellectualism, right? You have similar understanding. Sometimes when I go into a business meeting and I see, um, um, I mean, people who are very, very rich and they are very successful in their business. I mean, what gives me the opportunity to sit down in the same room with them and have a dialogue or have a business conversation? It's simply because of the level of our intellectualism, not because of my social status, not at all, not because of even my I mean any other things you want to call as a relevance, as a point of relevance or dimension of life. I mean, I'm probably even the youngest in that room on the discussion table or on the board meeting table, So there is a connect. That's what I'm trying to push. And the easy way to establish the first point of networking is here in this cohort, is here in this particular grant. There are many people who are still in the WhatsApp group that are not here. You don't look forward to those people, but here, people who have been consistently attending this, that you can vouch for, that if you need a counsel, you can easily walk up to them, right? So I won't really say my shoulder is the only shoulder you can lean on. No, not at all, right? That's number one. Then number two, every goal you have. I'm saying this with all sense of responsibility because I've done good research in many areas of life. I've counseled professionals, I've counseled young people, I've observed several disciplines. Okay. And what I'm saying has been proven to be very, very true. So no need to reinvent the wheels anywhere. Barely is anything that you want to do in life that is new, that someone somewhere, somehow, at one point or the other, had not done something similar, if it's not even very, very the same thing. Okay. Whatever it is, like Demola that wants to roll out product and all of that, no matter how unique that product is, someone somewhere else had gone through that same process of product development. However, his own might have different outcome, but similar product development process. You want to do a certification, someone somewhere had done it before, had passed, and probably is even now a tutor or something. So the question is, how do you now connect yourself with with the community of those people? Okay. How do you get information on how to be in the community of those people? Because that is where you talked about like minds. That's where you talked about people of similar interest. One of places where you easily get hands hold on that is on LinkedIn, social media generally. So when you're going on social media, you don't go on start looking on how to TikTok, how to Facebook, and all of that. You go on LinkedIn, create your profile, put yourself out there and have a conversation. Interestingly, some of you, I met you on social media, I met you on LinkedIn. I don't want to mention names, but that's just the truth. Some of you, we connected there, and here we are in the same space, you know. And likewise, myself, many opportunities I've had, even internationally, have been through the social media, through my network on LinkedIn, So you don't, uh, um, because you have not seen the benefit, does not mean that such community cannot offer you greater things beyond what you think you can get from there. So take advantage of it. There's even ways by which you can learn more on how to operate, your profile and how to position yourself on such platform on LinkedIn, because not everybody that knows how to use social media. So that's one way. Then the other way is also for you to identify professional bodies depending on what you are pursuing. You need to understand how to locate those communities. Is it within a professional body? Is it within a set collective group, interest group, right? You search, you can go online search. You can sometimes even ask ChatGPT to tell you where you can locate these people. ChatGPT is like you having conversation with the robots, with the artificial intelligence robots. So you tell him, ChatGPT, tell me, I need so. Where can I find them? You'll be shocked the kind of result you will get on ChatGPT. We are using ChatGPT 4Q. So these are just few things. And anything you are not sure of, please ask question. You can always reach out to me. You can reach out in the group. We are still going to be there even after we complete this for a while. So you can always reach out and ask questions. In my local parlance, in my local dialects or local language, there's an idea that says that he who asks for direction never misses road and is free to ask for direction is free. They don't monetize asking for direction. So you need to always ask so that you can be rightly directed. I don't know whether that helps. Let me please show this and then we'll wrap up. Time is fast spent. So this is the template I'll be sharing with you for you to use to carry out your assignments. Okay, so this is my SMART goal worksheet. So you can see you have your goal, then you have your purpose, because you have to put whatever your goals is in view of your purpose. If your goal does not find alignment with your purpose, you cannot accept it. So when you're talking about finding relevance in your goal setting, it is in view of your purpose. Then what are the challenges that you envisage you're going to face? Part of it, which are the pain points, and part of it is what Favor just asked now. What if you can't get resources? What if you can't get support, help? How do you, because these are viable reasons why you will not be able to attain or achieve your goal. So you need to identify them. In prayer management, we call them risk threats to project success, or you call them constraints, project constraints. So you need to deal with them heads on so that whenever you hit the iceberg, you don't capsize. Okay. Then you talk about your completion time, either it's short term or long term, or you set then what are the key steps? And this is talking about planning. So you describe what steps you're going to take, the plans, and then put the date timeline there. Even if these are not cast in stone, but you must have a time in view, because that will help you to know when to start and when to stop. Okay. So that you don't leave it open. Don't leave any action plan open. You must define, because your goal itself is time bound. So you must define the timeline by which you want to perform each of the actions associated with you attaining or achieving your goal. Then how do you want to measure? How do you want to measure as you are working progressively? Because with the measurement, then you can do proper evaluation. So you also have attached evaluation sheet. Sometimes your evaluation sheet can be your work plan, the robust work plan. When you develop a program of work for yourself, that might be part of the evaluation sheet. So you just have a column on that sheet where you'll be using to do your tracking, your monitoring, your quality control. Maybe you've done something, for instance, you have X amount of people that are going to be involved in your journey for you to attain your goal. You've gotten them involved. How are they performing? Because their performance will also determine the level of your success. Maybe you need to get someone to tutor you in preparing, maybe a trainer in preparing you for your certification. If you don't get the right trainer, if you don't evaluate, you just waste your money, you waste your time, you're going for the exam, you fail. So those are the responsibilities that you need to embrace, you need to have in order, and this sheet just gives you a quick overview. You can still tailor them depending on the type of goal. There are other things you can add, like you can see that I didn't include reward here. So imagine sometimes reward may be the main motivation for you to be able to achieve success and be motivated, you know. So what kind of reward do you want to give yourself? What kind of treats you want to give yourself if you eventually achieve? You want to buy yourself Ferrari, Rolls Royce, or private jets, or you want to fly to Miami? You know, all of these things, you look at it, and that might be what you keep looking at to tell you that you don't give up, you keep pursuing until you attain. So this is what this worksheet is all about. It's just to help you keep fit on your goals. Any question? Any question? I believe you understand everything that I've shared with you today.
Will you
So,
send us this spreadsheet, the SMART goals?
sorry?
Will you send us the SMART goals spreadsheet?
Yes. Yes, you all have a copy each so that you can use it to execute the assignments I'm giving you, the task I'm giving you.
Thank
So
you.
the task is you need to use that worksheet for you to list out, highlight your goals for the year. You just mentioned one across board. So what are those key goals that you've set for yourself or you are going to set? So if you have not set any, like Favo, or I can't remember who mentioned that, as I said, maybe it's Usman. So this is an opportunity for you to use this worksheet to set your goals. So this worksheet is to enable you to set your goals. Okay, so use it, set the goals, practically set the goals, and then see how things pans out from there. And if you need any help at the end of the day, you can always reach out. Okay, so we end here today. I hope the class has been helpful today.
Thank you so
Thank you very much.
much. Bye, everybody.
Okay.
You're most welcome. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Good night,
Yeah.
everyone.
Night.
Good
Night.
night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, good night.